Okay, good. Okay, welcome everybody. See you all. We are going to continue something we began last week. I think this will be a three-part piece. We're reading from Mevo Hashe'arim, which is on the ladder of stages of progression of the books that the Rebbe wrote, the different stages of personal and spiritual development, from Chovarat Amidim, starting at the early stage of a person's life, the spiritual path, and Hashe'arim Avrechim, which is the next book, covering the next stage of development. And Mevo Hashe'arim is it's a book unto itself, but it's really the introductory book for the fourth book that the Rebbe didn't get to write. But this is building on, the Rebbe wrote these books assuming that we wrote the ones that he wrote earlier. So first of all, slicha from Mechila, from Rebbe, that we're jumping right into some deep waters here. Rebbe also wrote in the beginning of his book, he pleaded with people, please, learn my Sfarim and spread them throughout Israel. So at least we're doing that part. What we saw last week was the Rebbe beginning to define for us what is unique, what is the spiritual turn of Chassidut, the new teaching that the Baal Shem Tov brought to the world. And first of all, something that we saw this week is that as far as the Rebbe is concerned, it's not just a new teaching, but that the Baal Shem Tov and his students were part of a whole new stage of the spiritual evolution of the Bria, the whole creation. And he began to basically paint a trajectory for us from the process of creation itself and the interaction of what's called in the Sifrei Kabbalah and the works of Kabbalah and Chassidut, or in Kelim, light and vessels, divinity and material, godliness and worldliness, and basically saying that throughout stage after stage of creation, the kelim of creation, the vessels, the containers, the material existence was here to basically be a place where God could be let in. like a vessel holds water that's poured into it. So the world is the vessel, and the godliness is what light can that vessel contain, and that vessel has to be refined and refined over and over again to become a proper vessel to let in as much godliness as it can hold. And the Rebbe said that when it came time for Baal Shem Tov's emergence in the world, the paradigm changed. And the paradigm becomes one of not only vessels that contain light, but that the light is shown to penetrate the walls of the vessels themselves. The very material itself of existence is none other than that same godliness that it's here to contain and reveal. And the Rebbe had a very beautiful diuk that it's not just that God's light is drawn into the walls of the vessels, but that the vessels, until the vessels are transformed into light, but that the vessels are rather just revealed to be light. Because it's all, I mean, just on the level of logic, if God is creating all of this, God is using all of that same godly life force and material. It's not coming from some outside place, rather than go to the clay store and build a globe and put people on it and breathe life into it. It's all from within. So if it's all from within, then if the purpose of creation is to reveal God, and ultimately the final purpose, the tachlit of all of it, will be to reveal God with its own very earthly existence. I hope I did justice to all the things that we went into last week. But that's more or less what we covered. Another important thing, the last piece that we really focused on was because of this, so we can't really say that. I mean, the Rebbe's, there's a bit of a polemic here that maybe us in the room don't really need to be convinced of. But I think on a deep level, we do need to be convinced of. The Rebbe's saying we can't say then that God is using means towards an end that are themselves ra, that are not good. We can't look at the body, we can't look at our existence in this world, in our world, and say, well, it's just a unimportant but necessary step towards getting to the important stuff. It's just the words that are coming to my mind are not words that I want to use. Just a piece of this life is just a piece of junk, so that we can hope to contact a little bit of God's spiritual existence. But like you say, we can't really make that kind of distinction if we're going to take this in its wholeness. That to say that the world is a ra just cannot be the case. To say that the vessels are serving a purpose that's countering God's will can't be the case. And another way that he articulated this is in their external appearance, the vessels are containers that conceal. Part of the way that we can exist as these independent entities is that God does a really good job of hiding. He gives us a ton of space, to create to create us, to create our world, to give us life. And all of that comes through an almost infinite degree of concealment, of God basically not appearing here. So the outer appearance of the vessels is all hiding God's light, and the inner purpose of those vessels is ultimately to reveal God's light. He made that distinction between outer quality and its inner quality. And the further we get towards the world's purpose, so the more that inner quality, that inner dimension, purpose of the world becomes uncovered and known, which is the revelatory piece. The more that the vessels and the things, life of this world becomes itself the place where we see and find and encounter God. It sounded like a speech, but I'm trying to give over 3 pages or so.
Shells. Shells. I read something about shells.
Klipot is part of the conversation. He didn't get into that. Okay. He wasn't using that language. He was using Kilim and
Okay. He rejects the dualistic nature of body soul.
He redefines it. Yeah. So I'm not sure exactly where we left off last week, but I'm going to start where Bottom here of these pages, Hine. Hine. Look at the front page of maybe. No. You have an old. Yeah, Hine. Fine, great.
It is where we left
I
off.
think this was
What?
stapled.
It is where we left off.
It is where we left off. Hine b'hachrata avrechim. In the previous, if you found Hine, that's where we are. Just go. In the previous book, Hachrata Avrechim, Sha'alnu Ma'azut Chassidut v'avodat Chassidut. So he says in the last book in this series, we ask the question, what is Chassidut and what is the way of serving God? What is the path of Chassidut? כי אי אפשר להסתפק בתשובת אותם האנשים האומרים שההתלהבות בתורה, התפילה ועבודה היא החסידות. We can't be satisfied by the definition that some people give, which is, oh, Hasidim are those the ones who they do Judaism, but like really excited. Chassidut can't be boiled down to Judaism with excitement or passion, kitlahavut, which literally means becoming a flame. You can't just say it's more fiery Judaism. So, because even though kitlahavut, a passionate way of living Torah and serving God, is at the heart, at the core of Chassidut, מכל מקום הלא גם המקובלים אשר מלפנים, הארי תלמידיו ותלמידי תלמידיהם, בטח התלהבו בעבודותיהם. The Hasidim, the Baal Shem Tov and his students, and they weren't the first ones to do this. That's not their defining feature. All of the mystics, the Mekubalim who preceded them, were also serving God with fire. Yeah, Rizal and his students, and before then, to the point we can't even imagine what kind of intensity of serving God they're serving God. So we can't just say, oh, Chassidut, passion, because there's passion in a lot of our Jewish path. It's not only the Chassidut. If we want to say, okay, well, but the fire died down in the generation before the Baal Shem Tov, and he reignited it. The truth is, you read some kind of like popular books about Chassidut, and this is how they talk about it. In the 18th century in Eastern Europe, Jews became, despondent, and along came Rabbi Israel Baal Shem Tov, and he reignited the Jewish spirit. Like, okay, that's also not a good enough explanation. Why would they all of a sudden get this new title, this new label, this new brand? You can tell. I was talking about this last week about Chassidus Sfarim, that you can tell when you open a book, is this a Chassidus sefer or not? But there's a flavor to it. So Chassidim too, all of a sudden it's like, what? People have this new flavor. It's like, oh, they're that kind of Jew. So that wouldn't happen if the Baal Shem Tov was just restoring something that had been weakened and bringing it back into the life of Jews. The Lama, and even more so, so why were they called Chassidim v'lo b'shem Mekubalim? Just say, oh, he brought, mysticism and spirituality back. Why a new face to it? Why a new name? The Lama here, Yushu Hamid Nagdim Nagdam. And why then did people give them such a hard time? If it was just reviving something. Im lo chadashot chidshu. If it were not, that it was truly something innovative and new that was happening. Ayen Sham. So go look in Hachrata Avrechim to the discussion there. Uvidvarenu shedibarnu bazeh ad ata, and based on what we've been talking about to this point, Vashir Nosif, Mirza Hashem Bazeh Ledaber, what we're going to add, God willing, Kineni mikaveh Hashem shegam lanu yitvarer ma'at lefi hasagatenu haktana mahut hachasidut. So the Rebbe basically is opening with a prayer here. I hope to God that for us too, we'll get a little bit of clarity according to our limited capacity to understand what is Mahut HaChassidut, the nature, the essence of this thing called Chassidut. What is it really? The Fi Seder Hishalshalut Hanal, according to the order of unfolding that we spoke of previously, Min Torah Sheba'al Peh Ve'elach, Yitgalu Ha'arot B'toch HaKelim. So from the time of the beginning of the Oral Torah, talking the Mishnaic period, we're talking end of the Second Temple, when the Torah as we know it, the religion that we know, and onward. So the path was one of the Orot being revealed b'toch HaKelim, light being revealed within vessels, Uvaish Bahasaga, where could a person access godliness, access or, access light? In Hasaga, in apprehension, in understanding, insight, wisdom. And if we're talking about a kind of understanding that is on the level of human endeavors and discussions and society and human life, so through Talmud, how do you become close to God? You delve deeply into Gemara. You unpack all of the ways in which, think about what the Gemara and the Mishnah is. It's, on one level, it's how does the Word of God and the Torah become applicable to all of these complicated and convoluted moments of life? And if you think about what that project is, from a spiritual perspective, it's how does God fit into the story, the human story? How does our story become one in which we're going to find God in the things that we do? So we're talking about on the human plane, understanding where is the light within the vessels through human intellect. Okay? And if we're going to talk about comprehending godliness through the mind, but in a way that even to our eyes and opinions appears to be something that's beyond the human plane, so that's what the Kabbalah discusses. Kabbalah is talking about all different ways of talking about God, but that's still trying. It's kelim and or. It's intellectual understandings of ways to apprehend godliness. Okay? So the human discussion there, that's Talmud. The godly discussion of that becomes the Sifrei Kabbalah and that tradition. The foundation of these kinds of revelations was study and understanding that happened in the mind. Intellectual insight. Lo chenia Chassidut. It's not the case of Chassidut. Hamshachata eina mugvelet b'seichel levad, rak bakol. The drawing of God's light that we spoke about last week, the hamshacha, the drawing in, the drawing down, the drawing out, isn't limited or confined to the mind, rak bakol. Rather, it's in everything. Af b'hakelim be'atzma. Godliness in the vessels themselves. I'll just say to the point where a lot of the big claims and accusations against Hasidim for generations is that they don't learn. What, they're just like these holy people being holy? Like, what does that look like? Where's all their books of Pilpul and because you don't know people, all these kind of deep intellectual research into the Gemara and the Halacha. Like, what are the Hasidim doing all day? They're singing songs, they're praying and waving their arms around wildly. You call that godliness? You see how much of a shock that is to the society when what we've been used to for thousands of years is the way to be spiritually connected looks like a certain way of using your mind. Now, it's not to say that those claims were totally true either. It's just totally different style. If the light of God is also shining in the vessels, or if Chassidut really is bringing light to the vessels, if its primary purpose or foundation is to reveal the light that is in nemichiyut. Literally, this means lowness. This is one of my absolute favorite phrases that the uses. I haven't seen in other places, but he talks about it here. Legalot et haor shebenimichiyut. To uncover the light that is in the lowness, in the lowest parts of existence. In low. That's why we can talk about it, low places. Im ken, Lama ze yigara kol haguf min sechel ha'adam. If this is the case, why would the body be any less important, holy, essential than the mind? If we're talking about revealing God's light in all, if we're talking about uncovering God's light in nichiyut, in what we regard as kind of these low and not such high and elevated parts of existence, if really the point of Chassidut is to say that is where we are to find God at this stage in history, so the body itself is just as essential as the mind. Not playing just a secondary, not just a sidekick. It's not just you need to have a body so that you can support the mind. And yeah, the body it's lower than the mind. What does it mean that's lower than? Your mind can do incredible things. Your body's very clear where it's limited. My mind can be in Australia at this moment. I'm sitting here. I mean, I could even be asleep and my mind could be like in some places. There's so much that our minds are capable of doing. The power of our mind and our body you can't compare. It's mamuch, it's less refined, it's less limitless. But isn't this the main thing Chassidut's about? The galot haor asher b'nemichiyut v'shegam hu kodesh, to uncover the light that is in the lowest places and to show that it too is holy.
What's less limitless?
The body is it's a funny way to say less limitless. It's
right.
A weird word that came out of my mouth, but the body is more limited than the mind.
Okay.
It's more namuch.
Yeah, that's what I thought you meant.
But the whole purpose of Chassidut is to find God in the namuch, in the smallness, in the lowness. V'shegam hu kodesh, and to say that low place is holy. Lachen gam haguf. So therefore the body as well, gam midotav shel ha'adam, po'alim b'marom, and a person's own midot, a person's own qualities, the inner workings of just me, my body, my emotions, my feelings, my thoughts. Po'alim b'marom, so they too have a way of activating heaven. This is how he defines Kodesh. Like he's been saying, so this too is holy. What does it mean that it's holy? It means that's also part of the story of how this world is interacting with God. This too is the body and the feelings and the midot that we, as just the people that we are, carry around in us, have real effect on the spiritual and physical plane. They're part of that story. It's no longer confined to an elite, intelligent, and learned group of people who somehow know how to get to amazing places with their minds. Seder Ha'avodat, Kufat HaChassidut. So he's now going to show how the path of serving God evolved throughout time and how this is reflected in our day and age post the Baal Shem Tov. Okay? So the way of serving God until Kufat HaChassidut, the era of Chassidut, Haya la'achniya et haguf im hargashotav. It was the way of serving God, the way of being a spiritual person, involves subjugating your body with its feelings, with all of its sensation. Ulashkit et midotav af listagef, kedei lerotzatzan, shelo tif'alna mu'ma, to quiet the midot, to silence our emotions, even to listagef. I'm trying to. There's an English word for this: self-mutilation, self-affliction. To cause ourselves to suffer in order to basically shred our insides so that they won't be reactive. It was a way of pounding your inner sensations and reactions, both physical and emotional. Kulan ra'oten. Why? Because they're all bad. They all stand in the way of holiness. V'rak az yamshich ha'ish alav or. Only a person who could get beyond their body and their midot would then be able to access or be able to touch something of God's light. Im or rak shel nishmato ye'orer asher techelet megufo O gam or yoter alyom nishmato. Be it light that is the light of his own soul once it's released from the confines of his body, once it can sort of leap beyond this bodily existence. O gam or yoter alyom nishmato, or even to access the light beyond the personal soul. There was this ability to even touch something beyond the personal. V'hakol b'hasaga b'chokhmah, and it was all through apprehension, through chokhmah, through wisdom, through intellectual insight, b'machshava, thought, u'v'chavanot v'yichudim. These are words that are basically traditional Kabbalistic ways of meditating on God's names, kavanot, yichudim. If you look at a Kabbalistic siddur, it's like there's a word of tefillah, and then all these coded names of God that if you study the Sifrei Kabbalah, you understand maybe what they're referring to or associate with, and that's what you should think of and meditate on when you're at this point in tefillah, or when you do this mitzvah, or at this point. Every single mitzvah has a whole world of kavanot, the names of God, to meditate on in the traditional Kabbalistic way. But that's all a mind-focused way of service. And to truly attach to those names and to perform those yichudim, you have to get the body and the feeling out of the way. It's pure contemplation. Okay? This perspective was saying that chokhmah, mind, wisdom, intellect, is the primary place of holiness within a person. What's the holiest thing about a person? Mind. And these meditations, these kavanot, these were the main way, the primary way or path that had the power to bring that light down. בעשיית המצוות לבד, את עולם העשייה וחיצוניות העולמות מתקנים. Through physical performance of mitzvot, like we do, we wash our hands, we say a bracha, we say the tefillot, etc. Yeah. When we physically perform mitzvot, we're only bringing tikkun, we're only bringing holiness to chitzoniyut ha'olamot and olam ha'asiyah, what's called the physical plane of reality and the outer quality of all of the spiritual realms. ובהשגת החוכמה ובכוונות עולמות אצילות בריאה ויצירה וגם פנימיות העולמות מתקן. But through these kinds of meditations, through this kavanot, this kind of contemplation, that's what brought tikkun, that's what brought yichud, that's what brought oneness and access to God in the inner workings of the world, in the spiritual levels of creation. What the Rebbe is doing for us here, by the way, is he's not saying this, but it's like he's read all of the Sifrei Kabbalah. He knows them inside and out. He's understood and absorbed their meaning, and he's telling us, like the unified field theory. This is what they're talking about, and this is what they're doing. And this is the way that they describe of serving God. There's physical reality, which is a small piece of the pie, and the main pool and access point to touching godliness and bringing God into this world is through all types of intellectual meditations and mind-focused exercises and kavanot. Okay, shalom. Is there space here? Kanoda mipri Yitzchayim reishar tefillah. So he's quoting from the Ari. This is all described in the Ari's writings. Uvemikdash melech ita beparsha vayaka v'zel shana kadosh. He's not quoting from the Mikdash Melech, which is a commentary on the Zohar. Udi Ishtar. So this is where the quote is. Asher misham raya brura ki haoseh mitzvah yeh lo chelek mimena kefi havanato. Ad kam l'shana kadosh. The commentary from the Zohar that he's quoting here says that we learn from here, he's not even quoting the Zohar. But this is just the bottom line that the Sefer is saying. Someone who does a mitzvah only has a holding of that mitzvah. There's only spiritual impact or importance in that mitzvah. Kafi havanato. It's based on how much you understand. How deep is your understanding of what you're doing? Your knowledge, your kavanah. Again, all on the intellectual plane. Ad kan l'shana. He's showing us how extremely focused in the mind and the intellect this path was. Because it's the mitzvot themselves, you did something, goes into, hey, what were you thinking about? That's what's important. We can understand, kavanah is important, of course. The Gemara is already talking about mitzvot, tzrichot kavanah olo. Is there such thing as a mitzvah without kavanah? But first of all, the halacha is that almost all the mitzvot, you did the mitzvah even if you weren't thinking about what you're doing. That's the basic halacha, just to set the record. But more than that, he's saying, what did the spiritual path of serving God look like? The spiritual path of serving God looked like very deep intellectual work and contemplation. And the body was part of that, but it wasn't at all an active or important place of doing this work. היינו שחלק עשיית המצוות בערך הבנתו של האיש תלוי, אם מכוון לפי ערך שמכוון, הוא יכול להמשיך עולם ממרום. In other words, if a person was able to have deep intention and focus, so they could draw some kind of light from above, וגם ההתעוררות וההתלהבות טובה היא רק אם ממרום בה. There's another important piece. In this perspective, so getting aroused, doing something passionately, being excited about it, was only considered valuable if that was inspired from above. Right? It's like someone was gripped with ecstasy in a spiritual state, not, because he'll say Masha Ein came a Chassidut, but it came from somewhere beyond the person. It wasn't like I'm really excited about seeing my friend who I haven't seen for a long time, and I started singing and dancing and praising God. I was like, okay, like some kook dancing in the street. Like what's special about that? But or even the excitement of maybe a simple Havana, a simple, unlearned person's excitement of having an opportunity to do a mitzvah that could fill them with a sense of awe, if that wasn't some kind of very high level that they touched something beyond. So it was sort of like, it's not significant, it's not impactful. It's ignorance. It hurts me to even say these things, but that's kind of the perspective that he's saying. The mitzvot were worth the kavanah. The spiritual action was only worth as much as the knowledge that the person was pouring into it.
Which is why most of the Jewish people felt far from it. Because they weren't that way.
Perhaps. I didn't live then, so I don't know what people felt.
Well, they had to work. They were poor people. Disease.
Most people
poverty.
did not have deep learning and knowledge, that's for sure. Yeah. Hainu is giving example. For example, some great tzaddik who's subjugated their entire body and all of its feelings. The only kind of arousal for God that he would feel is from this pure soul experience, or something from above him. Because the perspective was that the body and its inner workings and stirrings were not good. We're not holy. The purpose, our purpose here was to quiet those things. To silence them, to destroy, to wipe out feeling. So so that we would not be damaged and tainted by them, that our service of God wouldn't be distracted or withheld by them. Which was focused, the godly service was focused in our minds, in our understanding, in our intellect, actions. Masha ein kena Chassidut. This is not the case with Chassidut. Kevan shegam el hakilim hi me'ira. Because Chassidut, the purpose, the path of Chassidut is to bring light to the kelim as well. ועיקר הערתה היא לגלות שגם הנמיכיות, העצם שלה או הקדושה היא. עיקר הערתה. The main light of Chassidut, the main teaching, the main revelation is to uncover that the lowness as well. העצם שלה או הקדושה היא. Its core, its essence is, or kedusha, is holy light. The whole thing is the main. I just love it. He says, "This is the ikar. This is the ikar." It's very. I'm saying it over and over again, but it's very hard to really take in and digest. You mean you're telling me that like all the rotten stuff? Yeah. I mean, I'm telling you all the rotten stuff. Oh, you mean all the difficult stuff that we don't know how to make sense of it? Yeah, all that stuff. Like we're not here to disregard and destroy parts of ourselves that seem low and disconnected. We're here to touch a core inside of them that's holy. That is, and he's setting up this dichotomy in such a way to show how radical what the Baal Shem Tov was really doing, and how radically different the path is truly. Because the Rebbes were Mekubali. They were the people who knew these Svarim. They were the people who were carrying on this same tradition. But something was happening, something was shifting, that the whole perspective got redirected. We're no longer looking upward and outward beyond ourselves to find out. Looking inward and downward to the Namuch to find the order. לכן גם עבודת הגוף של האיש לא להכניע ולהשקיט את הגוף שלא יזיק ולא יפריע בלבד. So therefore the avodat haguf, how do we serve God with our bodies in the way of the Baal Shem Tov? It's not to subjugate the body, it's not to silence it so that it won't cause us any harm or taint us. It's not only to get it out of our way, it is rather also to reveal its holiness. Now, I think there's something interesting here. He says bilvad and gam. Meaning, we do need to make distinctions. There are things that we need to work on, right? There are things that we need to refine. But the refinement, the self-refinement is not to get beyond ourselves, to get ourselves out of the way, or get our body more accurately, body and emotional life out of the way.
Afuch, it's to get within.
Afuch, it's what I'm trying to point out here is that he says it's not just this bilvad, it's also to reveal. Yeah. Meaning there is a piece of that avoda of berur. We do need to do work. We do need to clarify where the direction of holiness can come from. It's not just to say like, well, I guess everything's cool then, right? Like I could just act however, because you're telling me it's all at some kedusha. The namuch, oh great, I love the namuch. Oh, I'll just stick with that then, right? Like, so it's not hefker, it's not hefkerut, but the inner work is meant to direct our entire selves, physically, emotionally, spiritually, forward, outward, uncover ourselves, bring it to light, to show what's truly underneath that. The underlying, the whole physical and emotional life that we experience is just this pulsating holiness. How do we connect our experiences to that? And how do we create a life and lead a life that's activating all those parts of ourselves in a way of being holy? And we can't brush ourselves aside anymore. It's not our job. In some ways, it's actually, it demands something new of us. Also, it demands a whole other set of skills. And part of what I believe about what I was writing is he's trying to teach people the skills that they need. Okay, so he's trying to teach people skills that we just weren't taught. Because where was this perspective previously? It wasn't the bulk of what people were involved in. Rakam legalot et kedushato, to uncover, reveal its holiness. Ulahalot et ma'avayav unetiotav avodah ilahi, and to raise and lift up the body's inner stirrings, its nitiot, its proclivities. Avodah ilaha, to a higher way of serving God. Using what we have, using our kelim, not abandoning our kelim, not looking for something that's beyond our vessels. It's like, this is my hardware. Great. Let me use it all. V'she'af midot haraot yisodan or kedusha. And to teach and to discover that even midot raot, even flawed, ra means bad, even bad qualities within us, the bad parts of ourselves, Yisodan or Kedusha. Their foundation is the holy life. Now, he'll speak this out a little more. But again, so I'll read to the end of the paragraph and see if he's saying. He brings very radical teaching from the Magid of Mezrich. Pasuk says, "Ish ki kachet achoto chesedu." This is the Torah is talking about arayot, about prohibited relations. And it says a man who marries his sister, chesed. This is on the list of prohibited relations. But the word that the Torah uses to say that it's an inappropriate relationship, the Torah uses the word chesed, which means kindness, love, right? Which is bizarre. It's a bizarre. I mean, it's clear in the list there that the Torah is saying these are all the prohibited relations. And ish ki kachet achoto chesed. Oh, don't do that. That's chesed. It's a weird word to use. So the Maggid says, we learn from here, shegam ahava ra'ah shnit'ora lo la'avera v'likachet et achoto rachmana litzlan. The ahava ra'ah, the inappropriate love, the misguided love that awakens within a person to transgress. In this case, lakachet achoto, the person wants to even marry their sister. Yisodas firat chesed shamalahi. Where does that come from? In its origin is the sfirat chesed from above. Meaning nothing in this world is coming from outside of the godly source. It's going through. It's taking on a lot of different forms, and it's taking on forms that are so far from their source that they counter their purpose and holiness. But we have to recognize that everything is emerging from that source of God, even the least godly things.
So that puzzle.
Let's finish the paragraph. What happened here is the sphere of Chesed. God created us. God is the template of our being. We're created with Tselem Elokim. So our midot are the qualities that are our makeup is a mirror of God's makeup. When we talk about sfirot and godly traits, these are all things that human beings embody. So my entire realm of love is all expressions of the sphere of chesed as it's funneled through me. And the Maggid is saying that the places where love has gone wrong, love gone wrong, is also coming from the sphere of chesed as it flows through that person. Something's gone wrong with it. But the avodah then is to recognize what it is that we're dealing with here and how we can truly. The avodah of repair, for example, becomes one not of simply abandoning and discarding parts of ourselves, but of there's an ability to repair parts of ourselves because they come from a place that's essential. They come from a place that in their root is kadosh. Ad kam shana kadosh. Yes. Saying.
Yeah. This past few minutes we were speaking regarding the chesed, right?
Mm-hmm.
The church terminology. This is a lot in line with the people that we quote unquote rejected. Like earlier, we said like what everything corresponds to, and like the original Kabbalah, maybe.
Because he's using Kabbalistic terminology?
Yeah, like this is like they're like this is like a good base for them from the pasuk to say like everything corresponds to more spiritualistic, whether it be the names or the gematria. Or the,
okay, so you're saying how is this different?
I'm saying it's a very thin line between the two schools of thought. That's what I'm saying. In my
I think the difference becomes how are you
doing with it? What are you doing with that information?
How are you relating to it? Right? Are you just saying like, you see, this says here, this says this word, it means this thing. I mean, so and then what?
Or are you living it?
And then what?
But it's a thin line.
What the Maggid is teaching is, what the Maggid is addressing is what do we do with the difficult parts of ourselves? What do we do with our difficulties? I don't mean our difficulties of necessarily just things we encounter, but internally things that we don't yet, places where we haven't yet spiritually matured. What's the avodah? How do we begin to work?
How do we analyze ourselves?
How do we analyze? But how do we actualize? It's not just analyzing. Analyzing was maybe before, but we have to have the awareness that then leads us to a certain kind of working with them and acting on. He's gonna let's read because he's gonna speak this out better than I can. So from here, it's not enough anymore for people to simply stamp down their midot, their qualities, their feelings. Do we see ourselves as some kind of wild animal that just make sure you don't bite anybody and cause damage? Is that how we are to relate to our inner lives? Our job is to just kind of make sure we have a strong chain. Is that where it ends? Okay.
Isn't that a name of God? Shaddai. Shaddai.
Shaddai. No.
Spelled different.
It's spelled the same with different nikudot. Is it possible for a person's soul to unite with God? Im gufo umidotav me'arat ptanim bitza betel shel ashva mezohemet. Can we truly conceive of a person coming close to God if we believe that the body and the midot, the qualities and the things that the person is made up of, is basically a pit of a swamp pit and a heap of disgusting trash? That's a mild rendering of his words. What's the body there for? To push it away, to cast it off. The lowest parts of you are holy. And through those parts as well, we need to serve and attach ourselves to our parents, our king, our holy source. The Hashe'arim has this teaching that appears in a lot of the books that quote him of a sort of three stages. He breaks up like three stages of here like avodat hamidot, certain kind of working with inner parts, and I'm trying to remember the exact wording. I believe it's hachna'a, havdalah, hamdaka. Three stages, as it were, of what you do with here. The Rebbe's giving is like, what we're going to say it's a wild animal. We're a wild animal that we need to rein in. That's all we do. But I'm bringing this up because it's not to say that we just abandon purpose and abandon direction. If Hashem was saying hachna'a, that's the word the Rebbe is using. That's stage one. Hachna'a is you get a hold over yourself. Hachna'a is that you find a way to like grab the wheel, so to speak. That means to quiet. That means to have the midah, have the part of ourselves not be guiding us, but be able to somehow rein it in and guide it. But the next piece is havdalah. Then we need to do the work of be'ur. Then we have to do the work of clarifying what is going on here. Why am I continuing to act in this way every single time? Well, I can only do that, right? Once I've had a sense of holding it in place and not being driven. And havdalah is to say, well, now it's even separate from me. This is a part of me that I can look at, I can talk to, I can think about, I can work with, I can make a be'ur within it. What's its strength? What's its power? What's its capabilities? Why am I falling into this kind of loop? What else is possible? And then there's hamdaka. Hamdaka means sweetening. And sweetening, the lashon is ein hadin nimtach ela b'shorsho. Any difficult thing, you find its sweetness when you return it to its source. Sweetening is where I can integrate that part of myself once more and be in a healthy relationship with it. Just be like, this is a piece of me, this is a part of me that I own, that I know, and that can guide me towards goodness. That's the hamdaka. Hamdaka is that what tasted bitter before, what it was experienced only as obstacle can now be experienced also as a gift, as a blessing, as a strength, as something that I can use to be brought forward.
Where does the Rebbe illuminate those stages?
He doesn't talk about them. Not so explicitly. I haven't seen him talk about it.
Never partial.
I haven't read every book he's read, every word he's written either, but I haven't seen that breakdown in his writing so much. It's in some of the earlier Sfarim of the teachings of the Baal Shem Tov.
Okay.
Let's come back into here. אם יתבונן איש בעבר רעה אשר מתעוררת פה לאמור, הלא אהבה זו מספירת חסד ממרום היא, ואיך אני מטנפה באהבה רעה כזו, גם מזה יתעורר באהבה להשם. So he says that if a person, he gives us a sort of example, right? He brought before the Magid's teaching of ahava ra'ah, some kind of attachment, some kind of love I have to something that's not serving me in a good way. That's not serving goodness even. So if a person is able to take a good look at this ahava ra'ah that is awakened within us, and to recognize, bring this awareness, what is this power? What is this power of ahava, this power of love, of attachment? It's an extension of Sfirat Chesed Mimarom. This is God's sphere of Chesed being channeled through me. Do I really want to use it for that? Do I really want to continue to direct it into this place that's going to give it it's dirty. Do I really want to take that godly quality in me and make it dirty?
Mm-hmm.
I want to keep, you said the word soiled. I want to keep taking the holiness in me and dragging it through the trash. Let's see. I'm saying it. it's possible from this awareness and this kind of just take that moment and recognize. Before I even say that, because what's the alternative to what he's saying? The alternative to what he's saying. The alternative to what he's saying here is, I think the norm for people is like, oh, this again? Oh, this is just my crap, right? This is just my wild, unmanageable, messy, low self doing what I know I always do. And I'm okay with it, I'm not okay with it, whatever. It's hefkerut, right? It's there. And the Rebbe is saying stage one is recognizing, like, hey, wait a minute. The way that this part of me expresses itself, that's not definitive. That's not going to define me. This feeling, this part of me, it comes from a holy place. It comes from a place of dignity. It comes from the same place that all the greatest things that I can aspire for come from. So what's going on here? What's going on here? Does it need to just be that same pattern? Do I need to keep giving it the same label? Do I need to keep understanding it the same way? He says just from beginning this, in a sense, inner dialogue with myself, I can have a hitorut of Ahavat Hashem, the ahava that I'm recognizing as can already bring me to desiring my source more. It can bring me, and it's that same desire. It's that same desire being directed towards the source, rather than I'm just being swept into this loop that it's been. Oh, try it out. See if it helps. He's giving one example. The gam hitorut, this is what I said. Gam hitorut ahavat Hashem kazo sheba me'ahava grua kazo. So this awakening of a desire, of a love for God that comes from that ahava grua, that came it was spurred by and caused by that low kind of desire and love. Ahava grua shnitapcha le'ahavat Hashem ve'atorah gdolah. A low love that was transformed to a holy love. He's saying this is something that's gdolah. V'lo af zo. אלא גם מי שרק דומה לו שנתעורר במידות אהבה, יראה וכולי. ורק דמיונו לו גם כן טובה. He's saying, it's one thing, this example of you were truly able to redirect this desire, this emotion in a way that became healthy and holy. That's amazing. He says, but you know what? Even if you just think that you're feeling love for God or awe of God, even if it's just a dimayon, even if it's just on the level of imagination, it's also good. It's also helpful.
He makes it sound almost simple.
Yeah.
But it's not. I mean,
which part isn't simple?
There's a stage of maybe, like you said, maybe realizing what the midah is.
Yeah.
And understanding that the bitui that you've come to it is not good. And you could get stuck there,
sure.
You know, like trying to figure out what is really the midah. What do I do with that? How do I redirect it? Like,
yes, to really do the transformation, to do the real transformation is the work of life.
Okay.
And this is the kind of thing people pay, thousands of shkalim, like a month, to professionals to help them do. Like zelo pashut, He's giving us a map. The map is everything that's coming through you, everything that's stirring within you. There's an opportunity to recognize where it comes from. And where it comes from is not just the local way in which it's been expressing itself. Where it comes from is something essential and holy to your being. So he's opening up the door for us to be able to start.
For all of us.
Yeah.
For it's a noble.
For the low lives among us, right? the low places.
Mm.
It's like he's like, you don't, and I think, and there's sort of like there's a piece of chizuk in here for me too, which is, don't think that because you feel or think or do certain things, it means you're out of the game. This is what it means to be in the game. This is what it looks like.
This is the game.
This is the game. Exactly. This is it. And this next piece you're saying, and I think this is kind of jumping on part of what you're saying too. Even if you just, okay, do I even know what did I have? Is that really Ahavat Hashem? Was that really Yirat Hashem that I felt there? He's like, even if you just have a dimayon of it, even if it just is like some imaginary touching of something, you know what? That helps you too. Spiritual placebo effect.
Spiritual.
כמו שאית בהחתמת שערי הייחוד באמונה רב הצדיק רב אהרון שסייב זצ"ל. I'm just gonna quoting the Magid. Pasuk says ve'el mi tedamyuni ve'eshveh. There's a pasuk where basically speaking on God's behalf, who can be likened to me and to who can I be compared? But this word tedamyuni, who is like me, is shares the meaning of the word dimayon, of imagined. Even if it's just something that you imagined, it can be holy as well.
Holy.
Meaning, I think what the reason he's saying this is don't, we can so easily, I think part of what you're bringing up, Karen, as well, is like, for it to be a real transformation, that's like so impossibly difficult. And how do I, and it's like, wait a minute, so like, how do I even know if this was real? So I tried it and this and that, and now I'm like patting myself on the back. It's like, wait a minute. That, like, did I think this was the Surat HaChesed? It's like, who am I? What am I? What is this? And he's basically giving us more tools to not discount what it is that we're capable of doing, and what it is that we are doing. Okay, so you think maybe you just imagined that you kind of felt something a little godly once. You know what? If you imagined it, it's also another. So maybe it's a little further down the line, but it's also part of it. It's also part of it. It's not to be discounted. Dafka, the Rebbe has many of his Sfarim. He gives specific guidelines of using our imagination in order to develop ourselves, to be able to get to a place of truly attaching ourselves to Him. B'nei Machshavat Tova, the whole thing is about how do you use your imagination to get yourself emotionally, spiritually, and on the level. So the imagination isn't the place isn't the goal. It's not the end point, but it's another tool. It's another part of the.
I think that was my question. Is using the tools of those Chassidut or psychologists, it's using kelim that more fit what he described before, the intellect, and so as a kelim mishtamshim b'tfisa hazot to do that change. So I think that maybe it's the dimayon, or I don't know, like what set of tools do you
so he's right now in this chapter, it's more theory than practice. That's the truth. This chapter we're in is more theory than practice. But his other Sfarim do have a lot more of a practical direction to them, and yet we need more. We still need more. I think he's one of the teachers of practice in the most articulate and explicit way, and it's still not enough. Still, there's a lot more. I'll read this paragraph. I'm going to read it real quickly. Because what is happening, even if on the conscious level, even if on the level of my spiritual awareness, I'm imagining. Yeah. Even if I'm in the imagination. In the deeper parts of my soul, I truly am being awakened to God. But I'm being awakened in the place that I am right now. Right? So if the only place I can reach it, I can have access on a conscious level from is through some kind of, it's either a fleeting moment or it's through imagination. So that's on one level where I am. And at the same time, on a deeper level, there is something real that's happening.
Because be'emet, that's the makom that the person is nimtzabo.
On the conscious level, that's where we are.
Yeah. You can't begin from any other place.
So he's going to say this more explicitly. What is holding me back? What's keeping me in this place is everything I've lived and experienced in my whole tfisat olam, my whole worldview that I've absorbed until this point. So that's brought me to the place where I am right now. And now that I'm beginning to kind of get up out of that, and through that very same worldview, that's what I'm using now to be awakened to God, right? I don't get someone else's perspective. That doesn't happen. I have the kelim that I've developed as a person who's lived in the world and experienced the things I've experienced, and my own inner makeup. All those things have created my inner world. And if I'm beginning to have an urge and an awakening to come closer to God and to become like a little step of holiness in my life, so the tools I have are my inner makeup. It's not someone else's tools. Like that's what I have to use. Gam bahem rotze lihtocher, rak bahem haitavut dimion levadu. It's only through my own tools that I'm using, and it's only on the level of my own awareness that it's a dimayon, that it's okay. So it's imaginary. It's imaginary. I'm imagining because I don't know what else to do. Look up close. Aval la'etzem ha-yisraeliyut shelo, beautiful. But as to the core, the essence of the Yisraeliyut that's within him, the Israeliness, the Israelness within him. What he's saying here is, as far as his soul's identity is concerned. Okay, that's another way. Yeah. On the level of the soul's own core, this is the moment of awakening. This is what the awakening. The soul is awakening. On the level of my life and my story and my mind and worldview and understanding, so I see it according to my own limitations. I experience it according to my own limitations. On the level of my soul, that is what the awakening. That is the awakening. Again, there's the chitzoniyut and the pnimiyut. You see how like that is a sort of like taking that same parallel of the relationship between the kelim and the light within them. How much of the kelim are seen and revealed? That is happening within us. That's right. When there's a hitorut of what, to use his words, of or from within internally, so the kli is going to be lit up, and I can only see the parts of the kli that are holy to the degree to which I have that consciousness, right? To the degree to which my awareness has reached the kelim, if you will. I don't know if that was over technical, but I'm trying to just sort of flesh out the Rebbe's words that he's been giving us till now. Even when a person is dealing with their physical material needs, you're doing business, you're doing work, you're creating something. We're doing it in the path of Torah. Avodahi the Chassidut. The Chassidim say you're serving God. You get the stamp of approval. Oh, you did something, and you were doing it. Al Pi Torah, like you're doing it. You're on the path. This is to contrast it with what we saw earlier of this sort of medieval Kabbalistic perspective of what was your kavanah? How deep was your understanding? What were you thinking about? So obviously that adds. Obviously what that does is reveals more of the or asher b'kelim. Yes. But the Chassidim are saying, you know what, the kelim are or. So if you're on the level of kelim, being on the level of kelim is great because there's or right there. It doesn't belong to someone else or in some other realm. You're in it. as much as anybody else.
So is he saying that the minot, that they themselves are now the kelim?
That is a kli. That is a kli. And for a person who's on the level of what I can do is use my imagination, so amazing, use your imagination. And for a person who's on the level of like what I can do is squeeze juice in the shuk and sell to people and not cheat them, and take truma to my sort of my fruit. So that's revealing the Orach Shabbat. Do we have like 7 more minutes, or should we stop?
Sure.
I don't know if my phone has 7 more minutes, so whoever's on the phone, you might just resist it somewhere. V'akadosh Baal Shem Tov, speaking of the Kilim. Hakadosh Baal Shem Tov Amar, Ma im ish lamed dinei hamachlif para b'chamor gadol hu ifnei Kodesh Baruch Hu. If a person who's learning the halachot and the Gemara of hamachlif para b'chamor, trading a cow for a donkey, you could spend like years studying the ins and outs of these sugyas in the Gemara, of this Talmudic discussion. If a person who's studying that and thinking about that is seen as something great in the eyes of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, in the eyes of God, mikol sheken shebefol machlif para b'chamor. So all the more so for a person who's actually doing it, who's actually trading the cow for the donkey. Ush'ar yanei mischar melacha, and who's doing business and things in the world, imal pia Torah oseh shemekayem Torah before, that the person is enacting Torah in this world. All the more so that would be something that's great in the eyes of God. Oh, you're thinking about it? You're thinking about it a lot? Okay, that's wonderful. And what about the people who are doing it? How could that be any less? They're actually asitamata. You're giving reality to the mitzvot in action. Ve'od mimei kedem. This is going to be our last few sentences. Od mimei kedem hodiu lanu kadoshenu shekachti avodat v'itchalut hamishichet. From ages ago, our holy teachers taught us that this would be the way of serving God and the revelation of the days of the messianic reality. V'zeh l'shon ha-midrash rabbah. He's now quoting the Midrash Rabbah. We're talking like a 2nd century teaching. 3rd century. לפי שבעולם הזה הרוח היא נבזקת באחד מאיבריו. In this world, this is based on a pasuk in Yechezkel. In this world, spirit is basically thrust into, the spirit strikes one of a person's limbs, one part of a person's body. The commentators are saying that what the Chachamim, what the sages mean is, in our world, the ruach, the spirit, is only reaching the mind. That's what its locus is. But in the future reality, it's going to spread into the entire body. That's what Yechezkel says. I will place my spirit within you. I believe this is in the of the bones coming back to life. So the Midrash Rabbah is saying, what the Rebbe is doing here is making full circle. He's saying, because remember what we saw, something like really awesome we saw last week, is that he basically said there are certain psukim in Torah, certain ideas that could only be understood in a certain way until the Baal Shem Tov's new evolutionary stage of spiritual development, which now we can all of a sudden see, oh, this is what it means. And it's not that he came and gave just a new idea, and it's not that he came and said, oh, you're all wrong, it really means this, and how could you say it? It's that this sort of emergent stage of reality where Torah, godliness, worldliness, all reaches a new stage of revealing itself. And so then the psukim start to mean something new. So here too, he's saying the Midrash was telling us centuries ago that in Olam Hazeh, that this world reality is that the mind is the place where the ruach can test, where the spirit can be. And in Atid Lavo, in the future reality, it's the entire body that the spirit can be accessed. וכיוון שהתגלות זו של הבעל שם טוב, ראשית זריחת קווי המשיח היא, since the revelation of the Baal Shem Tov and his teachings is the beginning of the rays of light of Mashiach, right? And he said last week, this is the dawn before the sun, so that we can begin to taste it, begin to practice it. לכן התקשותה גם כן בכל הגוף, והגופניות היא. So therefore, it's the way of becoming holy is also throughout the entire body and through bodyliness, הגופניות. לא בשכל וכוונות בלבד. It's no longer confined to mind and it's embodied. It's embodied. Let me pause here. Singing and Pasuk says, "Kolatz motai tomarna," my bones, and praise God. So you see, then even let your body hear the Niggun too. Not just now, in general. Like you're asking, what's the kelim? What's the kelim? What he's telling us is that the kelim is the sensation, and I'm telling this from his other starting too. Sensation, sensory experience, emotionality, feeling. We'll see next week. He's going to be speaking a little more about how the emotions fit in here and things like that. But just to begin to feel just what we're feeling when we're doing what we do. That's already a beginning. Just housekeeping. Next Sunday is Pesach Sheni.